Hi. Okay. Hi, what's up? How's it going? My name is Emma Jane. Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, that's fantastic. Grab a seat, stay for a while. I would greatly appreciate it. In today's video, we are going to be talking about the 6 sort of ideological and kind of abstract concepts or methods to reduce your waste. Also, disclaimer, just want to apologize for the weird lighting going on in here. I live in western northern New York, where apparently we just don't see the sun, ever. This is a somewhat new experience for me, and gotta say, I'm not a big fan of it, but that's okay. I've got some strange lights behind me that you can't see that are hopefully making that a little bit better. A couple disclaimers before I start this video. I am not talking about voting or policy or the carbon emissions from planes and cars or environmental injustice and environmental racism. All of those topics are just as important, if not more important, than reducing your waste, which is what I'm talking about in this video. I would love to make videos on those topics in the future, so if there's something there that you want me to talk about or ask someone else to have a conversation with me about it, leave it in the comments down below. I would love to know what you guys are interested in. I just want to let you know that this video is simply how to lower our waste in general and literally like your trash output. I still think that this is very important, and I know that there are some people out there who argue that this really doesn't mean anything when we need to hold politicians and people in leadership positions accountable for all of the destruction happening to our planet. And while I totally agree with that, I also want to say that like our individual actions really add up, and that is how we start a complete revolution and movement change. If I'm yelling at politicians to make plastic illegal, yet I'm using plastic every day, that doesn't really align with what it is I'm vouching for and trying to make happen in the world. So that is why I think that these steps are just as important, and you can do them however it makes sense for you. It can be very difficult to do all of these things, and we'll get into that, but just want to let you know that this is not how I live every day. I make so many mistakes, and I'm trying to do my best, and I'm not always perfect. I don't know anyone who is. So yeah, take it with what you will. Take what you will. Take it with what you will. Anyway, also, I'm an environmental studies major and I'm graduating next year. I've also lived a low waste lifestyle for about 3 years, so I think that I have a little bit of like knowledge to share on this topic, and hopefully you'll agree. Let's jump into the tips. Tip number 1 is you are not going to go zero waste or low waste all at once. If you see on social media people who have woken up the next day and suddenly removed all forms of trash from their life, that's great. And if that's something that you really think you want to try and just go cold turkey like that, be my guest and go for it. That is not how it worked for me, and I don't think that's how it's going to work for most people, which is why I'm trying to make this video. Kind of like at the beginning of the year when everyone wants to start working out. If you've never worked out before and you immediately try to work out 6 days a week, that's very unrealistic. Like, you're probably gonna get burnout, you're gonna hurt yourself, and you're probably gonna get really discouraged and not want to work out ever again. When in reality, if you were to start working out maybe twice a week, 3 times a week, and then you slowly increase your progression, it's going to be a lot easier to keep that momentum and get better and keep working out. When I started going low waste, I started with really small things, and then I get really excited and then I find other ways to sort of make my life simpler and not need to buy so much and not need to consume so many materials and resources. And that is kind of what kept encouraging me to try new things and to break out of this little consumerist box that I had previously been in. Yeah, and then use the momentum from those little actions as you get more comfortable with them, as you use them more, to go out into the world and make new decisions. Maybe you get so inspired by all the people that you see also trying to fight for a better planet that you become an environmental activist. Or maybe you vote on a policy that helps better situations where environmental racism is super present. It's all one big pyramid that we can all be a part of in doing something better for the planet. Tip number 2 is know your why. This is also something that a lot of fitness motivation people do. I think that like people who want to lose 50 pounds or whatever it may be, like they always have their why, and that's what keeps them motivated. That's what keeps them going to the gym every day. My why is, as an environmental studies major, I get to learn literally every day pretty much on all of these issues and problems happening in the world, and how often where I live and like who I am as a person can really contribute to these issues. There is more plastic in the ocean than fish, or there will be by 2050. That's really scary. And if that's a statistic that you read and that's your why, fantastic. If you saw the video of the turtle getting a straw pulled out of his nose, maybe that's your why too. Who knows? Or maybe your why is the fact that you saw a statistic that those who are affected most by environmental injustices are Black and brown people. I don't know. Your why could be so many different things, but it's important to remember it so that you can keep coming back to it when it gets difficult and when it gets hard, and you can say, oh, this is why I'm doing this, because I care a lot about this and I want to change the world, which is kind of like what I'm advocating for, basically. Okay, tip number 3. Now we're getting into some more of the specifics. Tip number 3 is use what you have. I know it can be tricky when you go on social media and you see all of these people who live a perfect zero waste lifestyle and they use all of these fancy products or like things that make their life more easier to live zero waste. Basically, that's not a huge reality. It doesn't make any sense to go out and buy a bunch of zero waste or low waste skincare or makeup when you have a cabinet full of perfectly fine makeup and skincare that you can use up until you're ready to transition over to something maybe more responsibly made or vegan or whatever it may be from a small business. I think that that's super important, is that you don't have to like throw out everything to get started. Definitely be mindful of what it is you're switching and how you're replacing and how you're making these changes. If you have a bunch of Ziploc bags in your cabinet, you don't have to go out and buy a bunch of silicone reusable stasher bags immediately to like stop using Ziploc bags. Those Ziploc bags still exist. They still are in the world. They're still happening. So use them, maybe give them to people. Like if you want to give food to someone, maybe put them in the Ziploc bag and give it to them. Who knows? Use those up, get them out of your house. Make sure you remember like, man, knowing how that all of these plastic bags are going to exist for long after I'm dead, probably. That's a good reminder of why you're investing in those stasher bags, which we will talk about more later. Tip number 4 is be prepared. If your goal is to lower the amount of waste or trash that you're producing, you definitely need to be prepared. This was something that I had to adjust to and get used to, and I made a lot of mistakes. I was not prepared a lot of the time, and I didn't think about it hard enough to really prepare myself and set myself up for success. So I made a lot of mistakes, and that's okay. I'm much better at it now. I think in all of 2020, I probably used like 15 coffee cups, and I get a lot of coffee. Like I drink a lot of coffee out, but I've gotten really good at knowing that whenever I'm gonna go to the coffee shop, I always bring a reusable mug and ask them to refill it. Yes, even in COVID times, there have been a lot of whoopsies during COVID, but I try to start a conversation and ask them to refill my cup, maybe without touching it, so that they're not breaking any rules, whatever. When I was living in New York City, I always had a metal spork in my book bag, so I would never have to use plastic utensils, and I loved it so much. It was super easy. I would go to the bathroom and just sort of wash it and dry it off, and then boom, throw it in my bag, so it was always there. This could also mean when you go to the grocery store, remembering to bring your produce bags and your tote bags. This one can be really tricky for a lot of people, especially if you live in the city. I would often use paper bags when I lived in New York City, and I used a lot of paper bags, and that wasn't a huge win for me. I would like to live someplace that I might have easier access to a grocery store and could just pop over with my tote bags and get what I need, yada, yada, yada. Tip number 5 is investing in yourself and the planet. Basically what I'm saying is that when it comes time for you to, let's say you need a new t-shirt, I don't know, maybe you need a new t-shirt, you haven't found any at thrift stores or whatever, your old ones are raggedy, maybe spend the extra money to invest in a t-shirt that you really like and you really know you're gonna wear a lot, and that you are paying the company that is making it ethically and responsibly and from organic fibers. That is one way to invest in yourself and the planet. Maybe it comes time to buy those stasher bags and you're looking at the price and you're like, wow, these are more expensive than Ziploc bags. Yeah, they're more expensive than Ziploc bags because they're supposed to last you forever. So when I look at that price and I'm like, oh man, that's a little bit pricey, it's like, wait a second, I'm gonna have this forever. I never have to buy Ziploc bags, paper towels, I don't know, a razor, whatever it is. You have to remember that you're putting that money towards what you're putting on yourself. Like if you're buying more ethically made skincare products, you have to remember that that's what you're putting on your body, or if it's clothes, on your body, and what you're buying is hopefully better for the planet. So you're investing in the planet, making sure that this item that you're buying has fully recyclable packaging. You're also making sure that this item isn't supporting unethical labor practices. You're also buying this product because it's from a small company. I personally do not buy from Amazon. I would rather put my money into a small business where I'm actually paying someone like their wages. I enjoy paying money for what it is I'm getting. I'm very privileged to do that. I recognize that. But if you have the privilege, I encourage you to really invest in what it is that you think you need and really think hard about it, because that leads me into my next point, which is tip number 6, less is more. I know you've heard it before that like being super minimalist is definitely the way to go in helping the planet and supporting the planet. I agree with this, but I also think that the word minimalist can definitely be like construed a little bit. As the minimalists like to say, love people and use things because the opposite never works. I love that quote because I think that in today's society, we are often very focused on money and status and power, and we forget that the things that make us happy aren't things. They're people, they're experiences, they're the moments in life, the little tiny moments in life that we might not think so hard about. This is very important because a lot of what's happening in our society is this overconsumption mindset. I have to have this new thing, I have to have this, I have to have this, I have to have that. And working on really going back and looking at yourself and being critical, not too critical, but really looking hard at like the kind of life that you're living and asking yourself whether or not you think that that's sustainable and good for the planet is a very difficult thing to do, but it's really what a lot of people need to be doing more of. Minimalism is kind of defined as basically keeping everything that you need, basically keeping only things that you need and also the things that bring joy. So when you look around your house or when you are about to buy something, ask yourself, is this going to be something that I need? Is this something that I need? Or ask yourself, is this something that's going to continuously bring me joy? And is it going to continuously be loved? Am I going to have it for a long time? Basically, one of my main points is that once we become less obsessed with buying more and more stuff, I think that our vision of happiness as well as sustainability in terms of the planet broadens so widely, and there's a lot more opportunity and there's a lot more moments of peace and less struggle. And if you have more questions, literally just go watch any documentaries on Netflix about minimalism because they're so interesting and very fascinating. Toothbrushes. I need toothbrushes. We all need toothbrushes. I don't want my legacy to be dying when I'm 100 years old, knowing that all of my toothbrushes I've ever used are still existing on this planet as plastic toothbrushes. So I use bamboo ones so that I can compost them and like rest easy knowing that all of my waste from my life isn't still out there on the planet. You have to think about the end life of a product, of a thing that you're buying. When you buy it, and when you're done with it, what happens to it? Can you compost it? Can you recycle it? Can you reuse it? I know that this can seem a little bit overwhelming, but I promise that it kind of becomes second nature as you start to think about these topics and ask yourself these questions. I have definitely not thought about these things my whole entire life, and it took a period of really evaluating my own life and my values and asking myself if I really needed this thing, if I was going to be happy with it, if I was going to keep it for a very long time. And now those things are second nature. I just go through those questions. I really ask myself if it's worth buying and using those resources, if I'm buying it from a responsible place, if I'm, you know, really gonna keep it. I think that these questions are ones that we need to be asking ourselves more, and I think that they're super important in general. Congratulations, you've made it to the end of this video. I would love to know what you guys think about these topics. I would love to know if you've tried any of them or if you're currently doing them. I, again, try to do these as much as I can, but I am not perfect by any means, and I will always say that because it is virtually impossible to be perfect in our society these days. We don't live in a world that's conducive to this type of lifestyle, and it's difficult and it's a little bit tricky to get there. So I would love to know how you guys are doing, what kind of videos you guys want to see in the future. If you haven't already, click the subscribe button or give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed what I'm talking about, or hit the notification bell to be notified every time I post a new video, because all of those things would help me and help the algorithm, and maybe we can all create a community that wants to, like, you know, save the planet or something. Maybe. I don't know. You never know. The world is our oyster. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. You're great, and I'll see you next time. Bye!